EM said, "Well, he is autistic, so I can call him what I want." What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am your average Redditor, and today we're going to be looking at r/EntitledParents. Entitled parents threaten to call CPS and sue daycare for having an autistic child. This is a rather long one, so bear with me. Cast: EM entitled Mum, ED entitled Dad, EB1 and EB2 entitled Brats 1 and 2, SB Sweet Boy, and M Manager. So before some of my health issues, I worked in a few daycare centres as an early childcare assistant. Working in childcare means you see your fair share of entitled parents, but this couple took the cake. It was the start of September and our daycare had a few openings for new students. I'd been at this daycare for maybe a month and had gotten quite close to the group of 12 or so children, and I was excited to meet any new students we would be getting in. It was midweek when we were told a new family would be starting with us and would be bringing in 2 children. Enter the entitled family. From the moment they came through the door, it was evident that they were going to be a bit of a pain, but you sometimes get difficult parents. EM walked in with a "can I speak to your manager" haircut. ED was trying to range EB1 and EB2. EB1 was a 5-year-old girl. She was well spoken and independent, but something about her seemed a bit off. EB2 was 4 and, well, not to be mean, but he was fat. I'm not talking a bit pudgy, I mean this was the biggest and roundest child I've ever laid eyes on. Now, I'm far from a spring chicken myself, and were his size not relevant to this story, I wouldn't even share it, because who am I to judge? From the first few minutes watching this family settle in, a few things became quite apparent. EB1 was mostly ignored by her family, and EB2 had everything done for him. The parents only stayed for an hour to let the kids settle in, then headed to work, and I thought things would be normal. But oh no. EB2 had apparently taken quite a liking to me and was super clingy. It's nice to be liked, but we do try to encourage children to play with each other more than the teachers, with one exception, SB. Now, SB was the sweetest child I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. He was almost 4, loved Robert Munch books and fire trucks, which was amazing since we were 4 buildings down from a fire station and another girl's dad was a firefighter. SB was also almost entirely non-verbal and had autism. This meant sometimes he had some difficulties with his interactions, but was overall very happy standing on a stool most of the day, watching the firehouse and playing with his trucks. Usually I worked with SB all day, since he had also taken a liking to me, and for many toddlers on the spectrum, having someone they are comfortable with really helps with their ability to follow instructions and join in with group activities. EB2 did not like this one bit. He was constantly demanding the attention of not only me, but other staff members too. And when he felt he didn't get it, he would cry. Now, I'm a very compassionate person, but also a no-nonsense teacher, and the crying grew more tiring with the more obvious it was how spoiled EB2 was. Not only did EB2 not know how to put on his Velcro shoes, open his lunchbox, or put on his coat at 4 years old, a feat most 4-year-olds can manage with a bit of effort, he would demand help, and when told, "I want to see you try first on your own and then I will help you," he would have a fit, crying and throwing whatever he had. The second day they came to daycare, ED pulled me aside to inform me that EB1 had said a child had hit her. Of course, I was a bit surprised, but it's a daycare and these things can happen. I apologised and told the ED we would keep an eye on her to make sure nothing happened again. Though I did find it odd since she had spent most of the first day playing by herself, as she had stated that she likes her own space. We kept an eye on her all day and nothing happened. We were relieved. However, EB2 had begun hitting many other children and was trying to take their toys from them, only to throw more tantrums when told to wait his turn and not to hit. This was especially worrying because of his size, and that most children in our care were quite small for their age. Again, the next day ED comes in, this time with EM, claiming their daughter had been hit. I politely informed them that their daughter hadn't interacted with anyone except for one other new girl, and that we had been keeping a very close eye on her all day and had not witnessed any such event. EM grabbed EB1's arm and said, "Show me the boy who hit you." EB1 points to SB. I tell the parents, SB didn't even interact with EB1. I was with him all day. EM glares at me and says, "That autistic boy should be in a special school for other autistic children." I'm getting annoyed, but trying to remain polite. SB does just fine in this class, and this is where his older brother came, so he is comfortable here. ED then cuts in. "That autistic boy traumatized our daughter. I don't want my children going somewhere unsafe." I reiterated the fact that EB1 had not informed us of being hit by anyone, that we hadn't seen anything, and that it most certainly wasn't SB who did it. Then I done goofed. I informed them that EB2 had actually hit several children. They both insisted that he was just stressed about the new environment. They gave a half-assed, remember, gentle hands to EB2 and left. Over the next week and a half, there was a new issue every day. Anything from EB1 not getting to play with a doll she wanted, to EB2 not being lifted up to use the slide. He couldn't climb the ladder and was far too heavy to lift without possible injury. No matter what though, every day came with the accusation that SB had in some way been violent towards one or both of their children. I had been careful to tell my manager, who worked downstairs in the other classroom, everything that had been happening when it was happening, and my co-workers backed me up. My manager was a small but tough older woman with very little filter who was not afraid of conflict. One morning, she decided to stay in my classroom as the kids came in, to see firsthand what EM and ED were going to say. ED says that EB1, who has begun a habit of taking toys from kids when she wants them and lying constantly, said SB hit her and threw a truck at her and pulled her hair. I once again say I'd been with SB all day and none of that had happened. However, once again, EB2 had been quite violent with other children. All week I've been telling them about his discretions. ED then says that EB2 is only like that because he has seen SB hurting EB1 and is picking up bad behaviour because he's never like this. EM instantly started on her rant about how she was going to call CPS and have this child removed from the daycare and put in an autistic school. M was quick to step in and tell her she had no right to do that and that he isn't her child. EM and ED kept going off about how the autistic boy was a danger to other children and that the autistic boy needs special care. M was getting clearly frustrated and said, "You need to stop calling him the autistic boy. His name is SB and that is incredibly disrespectful." EM said, "Well, he is autistic, so I can call him what I want." Then M said something that I didn't expect. "So you'd be fine if everyone called EB2 the fat boy instead of his name?" EM and ED saw red. They grabbed their children and stormed out, cussing about calling the police. A few days later, M came to me and told me they had left the daycare but wanted all their money back for the month and wanted to sue us for additional trauma their children had experienced during their time at the daycare. M had to go meet with them and the officials at the childcare licensing board to prove she didn't owe them anything. Luckily, I had documented everything in a data communication book the staff shared, and myself and the other staff signed written statements basically saying their children were lying, violent and spoiled brats. M also brought the contract with her they had signed and paid for, stating they would be with us for a 3-month trial period and including a clause that stated the centre required a month's notice to leave. EM and ED ended up having to pay for the 2 months left in their contract, plus an additional month for not cancelling with notice. I only stayed at the daycare another month as I caught a very serious illness from a child and was off work for 3 months recovering. But the last I saw, SB was doing wonderfully and starting to help read along with some of his favourite books. Well, it's great to hear that the SB is doing okay. Can you imagine if you came across an entitled parent who said, "Well, he is autistic, so I can call him what I want"? I mean, what sort of logic is that? EM demands I make her a watercolour painting on the train. This is a short story but still somewhat funny to me. The cast is me of course, EM entitled mother, NK nice kid, and TS train staff. A little more info, I'm a student at the University of Ghent and I take a train to get there. My train home often runs late and takes a while to leave the station. Last week Monday, I waited for my train as usual. I got on, took a seat and started sketching a flower in my new sketchbook. In comes the EM and her nice kid. They sit across from me and the boy watches me draw. "Could you draw me a dinosaur please?" Sure thing. I flipped to an empty page and started. EM, "Wow, you have a lot of drawings in there." "It's not that much. This is a new sketchbook with a lot of empty pages." I kept drawing the dinosaur while the train left the station. After I finished and took out the page, I handed it to the kid. "Here you go. I hope you like it." "Thank you." "You're welcome." I go back to my flower sketch. EM, "Draw me something like that." Points at a painting of a poppy flower. "I can sketch you a flower." "No, I want a fully coloured one, just like this one." "I'm sorry, but I can't do that. A sketch would already take some time, then I have to ink it and colour it." "Then just do it. You have the time anyways." Please know that the train ride home takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and I only sketched a dinosaur for the kid, which is not as detailed as a realistic flower. Also, since I used watercolours, you need to let the paint dry before using another colour next to it. "Sorry, but I really can't. I also don't have watercolours with me." "Then just give me that one." Points to the poppy flower again. She is getting frustrated and starts to get louder. "I can't do that. This is a personal drawing for a family member." "Then just redo it and give it to me." In comes the train staff to check our tickets. She overheard EM wanting the painting, and since the compartment was almost empty, came over to us. TS with a sweet smile. I will have to ask you to either change compartment or I will throw you off this train. I'm just trying to get what was promised to me. Miss, I overheard all of this and I know you shouldn't be asking like this. Now, please move or I will throw you out. EM took her son and moved to another compartment. The lady from the train staff checked my pass and asked if I was alright. The rest of the ride went normally. I do feel bad for the kid because he was actually nice. I am very thankful for the train staff because I did not want this to get worse. Also, I asked my uncle if she actually could have thrown her off the train. He works for the railway company. The answer is yes. He's even seen this happen before. As an artist, I do have more examples of EPs, but those are for another time. Also, this is one of the more funny ones. But even if OP had his watercolors on the train, that would have been a shaky mess. Like, how would he have been able to paint neatly? There's a reason why you can only sketch on trains. Anyway, that is the end of another episode of r/EntitledParents. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, like, share and subscribe for more Reddit content from me.